There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing. You're not doing the presupposing. Yes? Can you imagine something that you have nothing to do with? There's a presupposing of a non-existent thing to being an existent thing. Yeah? This is the beginning of time and the play, Play. All right? The non-existent thing, yeah, and then the presupposing of the non-existent thing to be the existent thing, mistaking the existence or the animation of the thing as the thing animating itself. Yes? So now the existent thing has maybe a lot of trouble, and then it seeks salvation for the existent thing. Yeah. Then he says, if this is the case, the next is going to happen. And what is the next? Your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing being an existent thing. How can they destroy it? Yeah. So they already have a purpose that you're unaware of, which is to reinforce the identity with the non-existent thing. How do you think they're going to destroy it when their primary agenda is to reinforce it? Yeah. 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 All the, if you ever watch HAL 2001 and they had the spaceship they were on had an advanced computer system. And without telling the humans, the people on Earth had programmed the computer at some point was going to take over the agenda. Yeah. While the humans thought they were all aligned with the same agenda, the computer had knew better and he had another agenda. And in that agenda, the humans were expendable. Yes. So, so most people thinking they're doing something to advance a condition is reinforcing the condition they'd like to get out of. Yes? It's not personal. Yeah. This is sort of people have seen in some way the schematics of how the unmanifest manifests. Yeah. How nothing becomes an act of dreaming. Yeah. An action. And the conceiving of certain ideas that produce a birth, that birth isn't noticed by the one seemingly that got birthed. Yes? Just like when we're babies. Do you remember the day you were born? No. Do you? Most people don't. I think some people, their earliest memory is like 3 years old or something. Yes? It's not like you've been there, narrating every event. There was nothing there. Yet there was a thing being animated. Yes? At that point, it was clear that that which was looking out of the thing wasn't the thing. Yeah. So when you see a baby and consciousness or whatever, the animating existence is looking out from that baby's eyes, there's nobody home. Yeah. You notice that. Yeah. And it's very, very attractive. We used to have it at the meeting in Marin City. Sometimes people, really beautiful people would show up, physically beautiful. And maybe they had a lot of surgery done and they wore a lot of clothes. And, they were stunning. But then somebody would bring in a baby and all the attention would go to the baby. Yeah. Because the baby had something because it didn't have anything. Very attractive. And when you looked into the eyes of the baby, you didn't come up with Steve or Jill. Yes. It was just the thing was moving. It's just onness. Yeah. Onness hasn't been corralled yet. The onness was just going off. Didn't get corralled and programmed and defined. Yeah. And then it seems like it's a weird thing that our memories start after the definition of the, yeah. When the program is defined, we seem to show up. And it's sort of like this thing. There's a presupposing of the non-existent thing, which is the body, yes, this body, to be an existent thing. That's the basic misunderstanding, yes? So the head mistakes the body for the existence or the onness, yeah? And then the onness is attributed to the body, and then somehow the head crowns you as the noun, yes? And then there's different coronations. First, you're a you amongst yous, but then there's a special coronation when it's me. You are in an exalted level that there's no one else there. Unfortunately, the throne room is packed with thrones because everyone has the same condition. They all have risen away from you into a me level, and the throne room is packed. Orders are going this and forth and da 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 da. Yeah, and it's very freaking confusing, I would say. Yeah. When someone says being all powerful and you can't even get your dog, to stay still to put on the leash. Yes. Hold on a second. It doesn't matter. Somebody's calling me. So the presupposing a non-existent thing being an existent thing. Yeah. The thing is still there. The thing is here. Yes. The thing is appearing, but to the head, its appearance is seen as it's an existent thing. Yeah. So the head, the brain sees the thing, sees the existence moving the thing, just calls it an existing thing. But the fact is, it's a non-existent thing. Yes? Now, he didn't say anything was before this. He said there's this presupposing of a non-existent thing to be an existent thing. He didn't say there was like 8,000 other things before that. I think it's really the starting point. Yeah? Time opens up and space, and there you go. And then we, as the existent thing, without knowing any better, yeah, no one took me to the side of the first grade class and said, Paul, you're a non-existent thing. No, no one said that. They never got the news. No anonymous thing underneath the door. Hey, you may not be a thing. Yet, when I saw someone that I was very familiar with in life, my Uncle Fred, and Uncle Fred had died, and the last time I saw him, he was in a casket. When I looked at him, I knew that wasn't Uncle Fred. Yeah, but as long as he was alive, I thought that was Uncle Fred. But as soon as I saw the non-existent thing in its natural condition, which is non-existing, I knew that wasn't Uncle Fred. Yes, I had mistaken the non-existent thing to be that which is existing, or that spirit, whatever. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. And I figured, seeing it so clearly, you would think it would have had a big impact. It's had a bigger one later on, but at that point, I was projecting the Uncle Fredness to the body, just like I'm not, but the head's projecting the Paulness to the body. Yeah. So every time I saw Uncle Fred as a body, I was seeing Uncle Fred from a body, seemingly, from the story. Yes. I had no idea. So the Uncle Fred example I had an immunity to. Because I'm in a very exalted level called me. Yes. So there may be tons of revelations about you, but they don't apply. They don't apply. You don't understand. I'm me. Yeah. So your spiritual practices themselves may be reinforcing this mistake. How can they destroy it? if their agenda is to reinforce, they don't have a, maybe there's an opposite agenda, but it's not the one on the higher level, which is to destroy that which is blocking you, whatever. It's basically there to reinforce it. So it's sort of like you want less, but you keep getting more. I mean, when does that finally break? Yeah. When does it finally break that you're looking for less and it makes more? Something's got to be looked at, don't you think? I don't know. Don't have to stare at it. Just look at it, like relaxed, and just listen to satsang and see where it lands. And if it lands you in the spiritual shoe store, wear the shoes and see what you'll be informed of. Yes, just by walking around with the idea. Yeah. So he says, in this case, when you start looking at this thing, yeah, you now believe this aspect of you was the thief, and you send another aspect of you without knowing it, which is the policeman, to sort of arrest the thief, but they're the same. Yes. Yeah. The thief and the policeman are two sides of the same coin. Yeah. So a lot of people, when you were a kid, were you under strict observation from your head? Probably not. I wasn't in a violent situation. If there were threats, I wasn't picking them up. 2, 3 years old, 40 years old, I would run into rooms. It was never accompanied with thought. I would just run, do shit, play. There was no I'm playing and should I be playing better? None of that was going on. It wasn't. And then one day I ran into a room and it was accompanied by thought. Why am I running into the room or whatever? And then everything I ever did after that was pretty much accompanied by thought. It was a seemingly smooth transition from the living to the interpretation. Yeah. But once the interpretation got momentum, it was like that was the living. Yeah. And it isn't. It isn't. Yeah. So, and when people get into a zone like in sports or surfing or making something or when they're cooking or baking, there's so many opportunities where you're forgotten. And it goes, it doesn't matter if you're not thinking it's going well or not. It just goes, yeah. And it's like they call it a zone or something, but it's readily available. It is. You don't have to be, it's not like a Herculean task. You just lose interest in something, and it's definitely going to be expressing that way quite a lot. Yeah. You won't have to get dressed up to be in the zone. The zone will just appear quite a lot. Because why? I don't know. You're not following every movement of you anymore. And really, it's because it's not me. Yeah. The me gets dethroned, and the you, then you can see that you're not different from any other you, literally. Yes? Yes. And all this stuff happens. And then it just produces a new basis of this event. And this is the only event we're dancing in right now. And that event would be you'll travel lighter through whatever life has in store for you. Yeah. You have to be one thing guaranteed. It has the same thing in store for you at the end that it has in store for me. It's all going to be finite, and there's going to be the non existent thing will be revealed as the non existent thing. uh, so I found non duality. This is a beautiful statement. I'm going to read something. These are my texts. I have about 3 pages over the years. And this is one from, if you've ever heard of the Tao, Lao Tzu. Well, Lao Tzu's secondary man was a guy named Chuang Tzu, I think. And this is a statement from him, which is quite nice. I think I'm saying his name right. So it goes, knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. Isn't that beautiful? Knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. To try to understand the unlimited through the limited is craziness. Don't you see? To try to understand the unlimited through the limited is craziness. But to do but to do this and to consider it to be real understanding, now that's just plain stupidity. Wow. Yeah. We have this thing in recovery to make it an open gate and a broad, so people could come in with a lot of considerations. And we had faith enough that if you got in the room, the miracle would work. Yeah. So they had this idea that you're going to make a decision to turn your will and life up to the care of a higher power. And then they put this little thing of your own understanding because of everyone was sick. A lot of people have a big problem with someone else's understanding of God being forced on them, or, they grew up in a Baptist something, whatever. So they made it broad. Yes. But very quickly, when you're starting to come to your senses, when you start becoming sober, yeah, you realize quickly, I don't want to have a higher power of my own understanding because my own understanding is quite fucking limited. And my hopes is what I'm deciding to turn this will and life over to is unlimited. Yeah. And I'd like to find out what a life directed would look like if it's directed by the unlimited, because I sure know what it looks like when it's directed by the limited. So I, something's been playing God in this life that wasn't called God, but it was playing God. And I've had enough of that. Yeah. So it's a beautiful statement, isn't it? Knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. To try to understand the unlimited through the limited is craziness. We're all going to try to do that. Yes, we are not. But because when you hear this message, something notices and becomes the hearer of the message. And then it attempts to understand this message by a limited understanding. And the great value of that is it's going to fail. And in its failure, you're going to really feel the limitness of it. Yes? It's been promising that it could reach a lot farther than it can reach. Yeah? It gets stumped. And it's like stumped. Yeah? And then it just starts running around, but you saw it. You saw the emperor with no clothes. There's no putting it back in the box. Yeah? Because I hope all of us here will attempt to try to understand the unlimited through the limited, because it's going to be great, because it's going to fail miserably. Yeah. And then you'll be convinced. Yeah. You'll be convinced of something. And being convinced, there are a lot of things that are convincing, but the being convinced is a different ball game. Yeah. Because if you sat for a second and told the truth, that would be quite convincing to you, but you may not be convinced. I believe the convincing goes right to convinced if you bypass the mental. Yes. When you bypass the mental, that giant chasm between being, very convincing and being convinced, you don't make a leap. It's not there. You're very easily convinced by something that's very convincing. You are. You come to the end of a lot of the foibles. I really believed for a long time I could get out of here. I have no have any beliefs. No, no, Not a second in the day does that get entertained. It was completely snuffed out. Because how I imagined getting out of here was as this. And this doesn't exist anywhere but here. It doesn't exist at all. It doesn't appear anywhere but here. So things are very convincing now, very convincing, because I'm in the act of being convinced. Yeah. So, yeah. So knowledge is limited, but knowing is not. Wow. Yeah. Being the hearer is limited, hearing is not. Yeah. Being the seer is very limited, seeing is not. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta pay up. These things are fogged up already. So again, the dilemma with this is when we're introduced to this message, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to smell a little bit of unlimitedness, and we're going to try to understand that or figure it out through the limited. Yes. It's supposed to happen this way. I feel. Well, it does happen this way, so I guess it's supposed to happen this way. The only way we get somewhere that is there's nowhere to get is by negation. Yes? The negate that there's miles and time between us and us, I mean between what I am and what I am, is negated. So it's a weird way to arrive at where you already are. Is the way you go about that is through negation. Yeah. Because what is being constantly affirmed in the head has put you in a time space place. And in that time space place, you believe you're somewhere and you believe what you're looking for is somewhere else. Or there wouldn't be so much fucking seeking, obviously. Yes? Would you have to polish a telescope to see something that's readily available right now? Of course not. Yeah. So the point is not to break all the telescopes. The telescopes will lead to a failure with the hopes that you'll see you're not that, and then you will finally arrive at where you never left. But I do not believe you can get there now because the head has you misplaced. It does. Yeah. And at least it had in this case. And therefore, non duality, in my experience, was presented to me through this negation aspect. Yeah. And this is how it's worked with me. So this is why that's how I share. Yeah. This was not, when I first went to satsangs, I would hear a lot of affirming. All you are is consciousness. You are everything. You're the void. It didn't work. Yeah. Because what was hearing it, yeah, what was hearing it was the non-existent thing being presupposed to be the existent thing. Yeah. And it was faster than the message. I would hear the message and it would be neutered by the time I became the hearer of the message. And I had enough fucking failures that the only thing that made sense to me was when non-duality was explained to me as a form of negation of the unreal so that the real becomes super obvious. Yes? Wow. And I feel that's how it works. I do. Because if you remember the parable, this is the first video we ever did. I said it thousands of times, I guess, the lion, because it made a big impression on me. The mother lion gets killed, and the young lion uh, doesn't know, doesn't have any bearings and shit like that. And then it gets introduced to a herd of sheep, and it gets absorbed by that herd, and it lives as if it's a sheep from then on. Yeah, lives as if it's a sheep from now on. Then it's life would have it that it runs into a big old lion when it's running after the herd of sheep that this young lion is a member of. the old lion sees the young lion, thinks it's joining the hunt, but realizes it's running with the sheep. So it goes right after that young lion. And when the young lion gets grabbed and rolled over, it knows what a lion is. Even though it doesn't know it's a lion, it knows what a lion is because it looks at the old lion and says, "Please, Mr. Lion, do not eat me." And this really perplexes the old lion. And he just takes the young lion, drags it to the water hole, and just puts their both heads out. And the young lion sees the reflection, the clear, because first of all, they probably should have said it was a calm pond, so the surface wasn't chaotic. So it sees the reflection instantaneously, just like I saw Uncle Fred as being the non-existent thing. Yes? Like that. But what happened? This is a trip. You would have think that would have done it. And maybe it did it for that lion in the example. But for us, it hasn't, most of us. Yeah? And so the parable ended there, and we're adding another chapter to it. What happens when the young lion leaves the old lion and the watering hole? Because I know what's going to happen. Now, is it going to take effect? Maybe, maybe not, but it's going to happen, and the head is going to claim the revelation of the lion as an experience the sheep had. It's just going to do it. Yeah? No choice involved. It's just mechanical. These parables don't have that. Yes? So we're adding on to it because this is what seemed much more important to me. It's much more important to me to realize I'm not a sheep than to know I'm a lion. Super important because I'm a lion already. Knowing I'm a lion is redundant in a way. And actually, it's a disservice in a lot of ways. Yeah. But I need to know I'm not a sheep. That's the freaking point. Yeah. And we're hoping to inject this message right there, right at that point where the firm in faith that you are a sheep is the active denial of what you are, which in this example is a lion. Yeah. So you could have that peak experience when you have the old lion and that, but the old lion probably has a fucking life. Yeah. And you may not be a watering hole at all times. So you have to, why not have an understanding of something that's going to happen mechanically? If it happens without you knowing it, it's going to have a much larger effect on you than if it happens with you knowing it. Seriously, I'm telling you. I've noticed it completely. Yeah. So this is knowledge that's triggering a knowing. Yeah. Yeah. This message is limited, but the knowing it's triggering is not limited. Yeah. Yeah. So, So this is everyone here who's ever come here probably had the same thing. Heard the message, suddenly was presented as the hearer of the message, and then the hearer of the message gave its idea of the message through its mental logic. And it's like, I'm not an alcoholic. Yeah, or I'm just going to lay on a couch for the rest of my life. Yeah, no, this, you're so it's great when it does these things because you can see how outlandishly ignorant of this fact it is. Yeah. So it's beautiful. I love when the head shouts because you can see how bogus it is. Yeah. If you want something to remind you, seeing of what you are not is pretty much a constant reminder because most of what you're becoming aware of in this event of Paul is what you're not. Yeah. So if you believe that you need a way to remind it or rosary beads or shit like that, you got your head. Just listen to it. It doesn't change its tune much. It doesn't get it. It doesn't. Yeah. So, yeah. Uh, yeah. So if you don't want to say anything, I'm going to read another thing from someone else. Yeah. This is my favorite dude, Hwang Po. When people hear the mind teaching, what is the mind teaching? Non-duality, yes? Big M mind. Yeah? When people hear the mind teaching, they get excited. They think there is something to be got. They then fervently engage in this or that practice, thinking that they will get something. And I think it's, and unfortunately, they do not see that their own mind and the thing they expect to find are one and the same. If you use your mind to try to get something from mind, you will never achieve anything, ever. Though you practice, wow, for billions of years? Wow, jeez. Do you think he enjoys saying this? I wouldn't imagine he did, but it's inevitable. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yeah. It's actually super news because you are what you're looking for already. The search is over. Congratulations, literally. But I didn't think it was going to be this way. Yeah, obviously. Thinking is not a good, thinking is about shit. It's not very clear. When you think it's about things, right? It's about things, you know? Yeah. Uh, uh, all right. Well, thank you for tonight. Anyone dare to come in?
Thank you, Paul. That was really beautiful. I like those readings you read tonight. I was
Yeah,
all prepared to put the it is false to speak of realization in the chat tonight, though. I was ready for you.
oh no, see, I know I had to throw a little bit of this is Himalayan salt.
This is great.
Yeah, I didn't. The other was kosher salt. I had to change it a little bit. All salt though.
Oh, good. Here comes Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi. So, Paul, I like how you asked if someone has the courage to speak up because this takes a little courage. This one, because I've really been, the Wang Po. You said the thing that really sealed you was that line that which is perceived cannot be perceiving. And I've been
Cannot be that which is perceiving. Yes.
say the line.
That which can be perceived cannot be that which is perceiving.
Right. And so I'm looking at all these things that that are perceived by me. And I'm saying that can't be perceiving. I can't be perceiving. And basically my question, it's a little, bold, like, because I'm getting ready to like really, really like take this on wholeheartedly. And I just wanted to ask you, are we sure that's true? Are you sure that how do we know?
Record, make sure we recorded this. No, that's one of the best ones. You may have to go on faith alone, honey. Faith. Yes.
I want to. But I'm just like, before I sink my whole self into this, I better be like, oops, that's actually not true.
Oh, no. Just, those are like slippers. You're at the pool, jump out of the slippers into the water. Don't wait for the slippers to be ready to jump in. That's not their job. Yes, they're not fins. Yeah, forget the slippers, jump in the water.
That which is
There's
perceived.
somehow or another, sometime in this life, we're all going to have to find an authority that may not be outside of ourselves. Yeah. You may not say it's inside, but you're going to come to a point that you're going to be convinced, and you don't need any outside authority to tell you this or that. Yes. Yes. Yeah. You're going to have to bet that number at the roulette table. You can't keep relying on others to tell you what square they put their bet on. Yeah. You have to feel something, sense something. The truth is a sense much stronger than a sense of individuality or anything like that. The truth is the permeation of presence. If that's not more convincing, I don't know what is, literally. Yeah. All the yapping never convinces me. Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's a point where the mental logic isn't going in the pool with you. You just got to step out of those slippers and jump in. Yeah. Yeah. You do. Don't worry. It's waiting for you to come out to say it. It'll give you its take on being in the water when you put your feet back in. Don't worry. It never touched the water, but it has a lot of ideas about it. Don't go there again. You're losing yourself, whatever, Yeah. But I don't know. There's a certain point, maybe I'm easily convinced. I don't know. But I don't, I never met Hoang Po, but I listen to him more than I listen to a lot of people I met. I mean, it just whatever. Yeah. So, but we're here, honey. Yeah, just you don't have to jump in completely. That's another requirement. You just have to, let the listening there's listening, and then it gets claimed, and now you're the listener. Being the listener did not mean you weren't listening. So just remember that, and just hopefully the listening gets emphasized more than the listener. Yes. And yeah. But we're here. You're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Lab. Yeah. You want to jump in the pool with slippers, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Just be heavier. That's all. Slippers, when they get wet, get a little heavier. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Like when boogie boarding, you had to have fins, to move faster in the water. But it was important that they weren't too heavy. Yes. You need something that could move the water, but wasn't like lead socks. Yeah. 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 So, all right. Anyone else? Love you,
Yes.
Heather. Heather,
Rick.
great magician. Heather, I never thought we have people that do shows with bubbles, and we have Heather with the magic tricks. Who would have thunk? I never really if I would have imagined things happening in Zen Bitch Slap, I wouldn't have imagined these. So we just sort of opened a door and things show up. It's pretty trippy. But you're a very good magician. Yes. I
Thank you.
still have that bent quarter. I tried to put it in a slot machine, didn't work. But I
I
still
can
have
now
it.
make your signed bill appear inside of a playing card in your hand.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. All right. Anyone?
Yes. Rick Rowe.
Rick Rowe.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Heather, Catherine, thank you for your service. Hey, Rico, I almost called you. How you doing, Paul?
Good, bro.
I love coming here because when I hear you, you kind of make sense out of my crazy mind because you talk about a lot of this stuff and you go in all those different directions and it calms me down. I'd been going to the program for many, many, many years, and I just started spinning, and I couldn't get out of that spinning. But the non-duality, the way you approach it through the 12 steps and through Zen, through the Taoism, because you use a lot of different practices in your talks. But this thing about knowing as opposed to the knowledge, I thought the 12 steps were about knowledge. And I really hit a wall with that because I was doing a lot. And in AA, we do a lot of stuff. We're taught to do that. But I found somebody who had taught me that no, this ain't about you doing all this other stuff. It's about having an experience. And when I come here, specifically here with you, Paul, I have that experience. And there's a knowing that's taking place. There's a knowing that happens where I see, and I don't mean see with my eyes, I see what's going on. Like, I see the experience and I have this physical reaction to it. And then the parasite takes over.
Oh, stop there. It doesn't take over.
Yeah. Well, it starts its little
What it does really, sorry for 1 second.
Yeah.
It enters the room and then it says it took over.
That's
It
right.
has not taken over. That's speaking, that's coming from it. That was not a recognition in you.
Okay.
It tries to beat us to the punch.
Right.
So it tells us the condition it would like us to be in, and then we like because we haven't entertained the possibility of another possibility, So all right, it took over. No, it didn't. It's never taken over. That's why it yaps so much. If it had taken over, it wouldn't be yapping as much. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just seeing it. One of the things that has been a gift through through what you observe and share here is that it's this stepping back, really stepping back and just allowing and seeing and just knowing, not identifying with it. And there's where seeing where the driver is. I'll use that because this thing intends to drive me, and it'll drive me as long as I allow it to, unless I bring this presence into that moment, which stops it usually.
Yes. Well, what allows it is not knowing. See, because if without knowing, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
And so something could be going on behind your back, and then all you see is the performance in front, and then all you can do is speculate. But in this case, like in AA, it says without knowing it, all this shit happens. Well, why don't maybe we change that with knowing it? All this shit will happen, but now it won't be happening to you.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So I have as an action figure, understanding has been very important in my life because I was walking around with, let's say, a quite limited understanding. And in recovery in the beginning years, I would be introduced to other people's understanding. And sometimes it was earth shattering. I mean, I always talk about the old guys, Joe and Charlie, who did this big book seminars all around the world.
Used to do those.
Something compelled me to go see them. Yeah. And it was like we were talking with Heather. I have faith in that. I didn't question that. And when they explained to me the fourth step, which is an important step in the working steps of recovery, I got it. And I hadn't gotten it before then. And I ran back to my motel and I did an inventory, though I had done one before, but I didn't see my role in things.
Right.
And therefore I didn't see self's role in things. And then I was so jacked up. Went home, and I guess I understood. Wow. And the same thing, knowledge is not a replacement of knowing. Yeah. Sometimes the knowledge brings you to the knowing or brings you back to the knowing. Yeah. And so the knowledge is something to honor and be grateful about, but it's not vision is different than the view. The view would be like a knowledge, and vision is the knowing. Yes,
Yes.
and we are
Completely.
the act of knowing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the knowledge, it's more of the doing, right? As where the knowing, it's kind of like that spark or that golden thread that has brought me to this place of where it's like, whoa, okay, now I see exactly what this is about. Whereas I found the book stuff can be more taking me down a different rabbit hole.
Yes. Well, it can if it can, because this goes two ways any in this dreaming, yeah? It's because of duality. So it can, but it doesn't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So some people, a few books was great, and then it becomes a disservice because they keep reading about it. Yes?
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things I've noticed is that I lose interest with a lot of these other books.
Yes.
And so now I've moved on to more the ACIM right now. And it's taken me to a different understanding through how I guess it's Shakespearean writing that is changing that it's just changing something within myself where I'm getting to know a whole other ball game of words. Um, yeah,
Well,
it's
the course they found out it has a cadence that has
yes,
effect.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's kind of like what you're doing, but they're not um, saying that because it goes over your head, and a lot of what we do here goes over my head, but then it settles. And this is when the knowing starts to come up. It's like, oh, now I see it, I feel it, right? I
hey,
feel like I've been lifted and things are just a lot lighter, so that's wonderful, and I appreciate that.
yeah, that's great. That's a good anatomy of satsang. It is quite good. Yes. Yeah, there's a power. You don't have to know it. You know, you don't. You just there's a power, and and if there's any requirements, they're on your side.
There's what,
So,
33 people here, and if you think about it, well, I have, because I feel it, and there is a 33 power of lights here, and we're all here to grow, and for some reason there's always this exchange I get from here, that just yeah, it's beautiful, and I do feel that power. I do.
yeah, great. Well, yeah. Well, keep coming back then. I remember people will tell me this is the insanity of the head. People will tell me they really like coming here, but maybe I shouldn't be coming here. I said, fucking, you find something you like. Every day I surfed, I never thought I shouldn't be. Maybe I'm surfing too much. No, it was just go in the water any chance I got. So, yeah, ride the wave while we're at the beach, so to speak. Yes, yeah. And you play a big role in here, Rick, and all of us do. I remember you from being here, and you've never left, and a lot of others. It's I may not be able to physically meet you all, but I've met you here, and a weird community has formed, and it's just another branch on the tree of Zen Bitch Slap. So yeah, I'm stoked about it. Yeah, it is cool. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So anyone else?
Yeah, we have another member of our weird community. Merrill would like to maybe
Oh,
say
Meryl, yes.
Thank
Representing the weird wing of
you.
our,
Sure.
our community.
Um, yeah, I just wanted to say also, for me too, this is the first time I heard you say the difference between knowing and knowledge. That I really appreciate that distinction. And I know that for me, there was a lot of freedom years ago, even before I heard the message that I heard from you this year more deeply. I had a real sense of rightness, an understanding of not being able to know. You know, the whole question that Heather said about, can we know it's true? That is, I mean, such a question. And I had so much freedom from the really strong sense that this cannot know. There's a limitation. I cannot know. And that it surprised me because I relied on my brain a lot in my life, but that is the most freeing thing of all, to know that it's not that I don't know. It's that there is no, I can't know. That's a whole different thing, you know? And it's not that I'm not getting it. It's that it is not to be gotten by this. And that difference is just so freeing. And I just appreciate what you're saying about it tonight, that the knowing being, it's so subtle, you know, but like a sense of rightness. That's the best I can do. And that's fine. And when I have a feeling for something and I get pulled in certain directions, and it really is a little bit scary, but it's like a faithing thing to go with that feeling without having confirmation in your mind. But it feels so much, if I really am feeling that, it feels 1,000 times more right than the contradictory 10, 20 things my mind will throw at me at the same time, you know, that a real sense is so much, I don't know, just feels so much more right. And
You know.
of knowing being verbing, like that made me think too, the knowing is verbing and the knowledge is a defined thing that isn't true.
Now you're getting different directions and you're heeding them far out. That's
Anyway,
an aspect of traveling lighter. It is. You start following a different tune. You do. Yeah. And then hearing the new tune, it really describes, or it really reveals the old tune. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, especially when I keep falling back into the old tune. But yes, but yeah, thank you.
You know, you fall back, but you don't fall through. Yeah. You don't leave what you are. Yeah. So don't, yeah, you'll get, how many times do I think I have left and some kind of incriminating, terrible, what a bad thing to do, and I haven't, and then you find you haven't gone anywhere. I mean, how many times? That dance will continue, but you just don't buy it as much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was so helpful. Thank you for that.
Yeah. You just get used to it, you know. It's the boy who cried wolf 180,000 times. Yes. You know, once or twice it's going to be correct. It does it so much. It bases its whole fucking veracity on that one or two times. But basically, it's like, I don't think the people who made car alarms it was going to end up the way they happened. No one fucking heeds a car alarm. Yeah. No one listens to a car alarm. Very rarely. I don't, it's an annoyance. Yes. But people, you need a car alarm. It doesn't seem like, yeah, it could be when it stops, it could be the burglar got in. No, I don't, no one's following it really. So this head is such a strange, in the face of complete evidence of its unmanageability, its not managerial quality, it will still come in the office and try to go into the CEO's room. You just got to sort of like nicely just, you know, direct it to the mailroom. It's been demoted. I'm gonna get them. Oh, I know, I know. Yeah. Oh, I mean, honey, when joy now, you know? when is there going to be joy? If it's not now, when? Yeah? The tick and the tock, one tick is not going to be followed by a tock at some point. Yeah? All the dilly-dallying, um, this message will anchor you in the fact of what's happening, because you will have been convinced what's not happening can have an effect, but it's actually truly not happening. Yeah, and it gives you you're on solid ground to start the day. You're not trying to get there by the day. You start the day. Yeah, you're not spending the day trying to get somewhere. You start there. Yeah. Yeah. And then see how the day will go based on that, instead of seeing the day as a ladder with rungs that you have to get to a certain point, only to find yourself at the bottom again, on and on and on. It's like slavery. So, yeah, who's going to enjoy your life other than you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the other TikTok, I have plenty of time. You may not have plenty of time. Yeah.
That is, I'd say, the main point of my story is that is my type of denial, telling myself, because I can be very aware that the way I'm living or the things I'm doing are not something I value. But I would tell myself, but oh, I have time to correct that later. I don't know what that is. So I lived most of my life, I would say, that way. And the
And
idea,
it's fine, honey. And it's also fine to realize that horse served you maybe at some point, but it's dead and there's another horse coming by. Just get on the other horse. Yeah. 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 I mean, fuck. How many requirements do some of us make for a day to be okay? I mean, you got to be okay before the day, so to speak. You can't. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm in a crapshoot physically. When I wake up in the morning, my legs can be really fucked, or they may not be. Yeah. I have no certainty which way it's going to go. I don't. It's just like, but I always go to sleep with a smile, don't have any concerns. And then if I'm crippled when I wake up, I'm crippled. What am I going to do? I'm going to not be crippled until I am. I'm not going to think I'm going to be crippled when I'm not crippled. Yeah. If I'm crippled, I'll admit I'm crippled, but I'm not crippled now. It seems simple, but it works. Yeah. Have you ever been afraid of something? If you've ever been in a like an adventurous moment, there was no fear in it when you were in it. It's all mental anxiety. When you're in a fearful situation, you don't respond from fear. You're like fucking completely sober in a way. You are, I swear. So it's all this, you know, whatever. Yeah. You don't, what's not happening, anything can be happening and what's not happening. But it does not have one quality what's happening has, which is it's happening. It doesn't. And you know what? If you feel like you're unmoored to the moment, you have 5 anchors. You feel, see, hear, taste, touch. I mean, your boat is the most anchored boat of any boat. There's 5 anchors thrown out. You're hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, smelling something right now. Yes? The head is like, in what's not happening, it's just, it's all manufactured. Here, oh, you can go on a 1,000,000-mile journey, and if you just look where your feet on, it's over. Yeah, you just look at your feet. Hey, I'm here. The here-ness is so simple. It's when the here is made into a there. The funny thing is, we used to have a story about here, there. Yeah. So here you are here, and then something's introduced to you here that implies if you had something that you don't have now, it would be a better here. And it's called there. And then there's a large movement to get there, but unknowingly, you're denying the value of here. And inevitably, when whatever that there is, when you get there, it's here.
Because I'm there.
Like the there you thought it was when you weren't there. When you get there, it's here.
And that's
then
because
you
I'm
gotta
there.
find another there. Yeah, those theirs are gonna run out, and the time is gonna run out. Yes. Yeah. And whatever. Well, just erase the T in there, and you got here. Just erase the first little. There you go. Yeah. All right. I'm sure you had enough. We're here for you, Maro, as for every one of us. Yes, and I think you're. Yeah. If there's water, drink. Yes, just drink. Drink it up. Yeah. Satsang
But
is a limitless source, not SAUC, SOURCE, source of water. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Kathleen, thank you again just for being Kathleen.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Meryl. Did I say it right this time, Meryl?
yeah, that's great. Thank you
Carol.
so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you also to the other people I forget who they were. Oh, Heather and Rick. Thank you.
And Jim Elliott, thank you, Jim, for the donation, and thank you for hanging out here. It's a pleasure to know you. David, as always. Claire, we got the down unders right here. David, Claire, and Jim. And Mia's alive right here. Kerry, nice to see you. Anu, always great. I'll be seeing you soon, Anu, down south, yes. Stephen Mack, on having never left. Claire, Sydney. So Claire and Jim's in Sydney also. William Stamps, nice to see you. He's in Woodside, Queens. Wow. And that's very close to Rockville Center. Ernie, a little bit of willingness goes a long way, Ernie.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. David and Natalie. John S. in Florida. John has soaked it up. Annette. Chris D. Yes, he's nice to see you, Chris. Alan, the happiest man who never got it. Very good. Alan Olson. Heather. Eric and Vista. Susan Harris. Zoe. Thank you, Zoe, from coming from Japan. Thank you so much. I had the pleasure of meeting Zoe. She came and visited us at this coffee shop. She was playing hooky from a retreat or something. Yes. I squealed on you later, but yeah, it's okay. But yeah, it was such a nice time to meet her. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? I can't see. David, I got you down under. I can't see the others. Hey, thank you. We'll be around tomorrow and hopefully, on and on and on and on. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank
you.
you, Paul.
Paul,
Thanks,
thanks,
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Oh, good
Bye.
night.